Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining me on this episode of Side Quests. My name is Jesse Vitelli, and I'm a writer. I have bylines at Prima Games and Twinfinite.net. I write mostly guides, but I'm out there. I'm also on the Twitters at Jesse Vitelli. It's a roller coaster of a Twitter account if you really want to check it out. I don't recommend. However, today I'm here to talk to you about a game that is very near and dear to my heart, and that game is Luigi's Mansion. Now, a lot of you might remember Luigi's Mansion. Maybe some of you listening don't really know what that is. Maybe you have only played Luigi's Mansion 3, which came out on the Switch last year. Luigi's Mansion is a game that came out in 2001. It was a launch title for the Nintendo GameCube, and it was really divisive. A lot of people wanted a Mario game, and they didn't get a Mario game. They got a Luigi game, and as we all know, Luigi tends to get the short end of the stick a little bit, or a lot of bit. But I just remember playing through this game when I was a kid. I was probably like 8 years old, and it just totally blew me away. It's almost this like Metroidvania style horror game with Luigi, but it's you got a little vacuum and you go around and you got to collect the ghosts. It's also the first time they introduced Professor Egad, who is this little scientist man with a little poofy hair and a lab coat and big swirly glasses. And I think when I think about this game, it's just so warm to me, and it's so full of charm and life, and it really just accentuates like everything that I love about video games. Right? It's a home. Like it's my comfort food. It's the thing I go back to. And I play through that game maybe about once a year because I really, really love it. And I think everything from the design to the audio to the story is really impressive, especially on the GameCube. The beginning of the story is that Luigi wins a contest and he wins a mansion, and it's really a big ploy. And Mario goes there and he gets captured and he gets put into a painting. And you learn that later on. But Luigi goes to check the mansion out, look for Mario, see what's going on, and he ends up in this ghost-filled mansion. And so the game opens up, and Luigi's scared, and every time he goes to grab a new doorknob, you get this almost like Resident Evil-style rendered animation of his hand shaking and opening the doorknob like there's going to be a zombie around the corner. And it's just such a different tone for a Nintendo game, let alone a Mario Luigi game, right? And you're going through the mansion and you're collecting these ghosts, but a lot of the ghosts have a backstory. So the first 3 ghosts you encounter are a mom, a dad, and a baby. And like something happened there, right? Like there's darker implications in this game. And as a kid, you're just interested in sucking up the ghosts, and you're interested in the pretty colors and playing a video game. That's what you're there for. But as I come back to it every year, I kind of think about like Luigi's Mansion is actually a really sad game. There's all these ghosts. Like everybody in the mansion is a ghost. So there was like a horrible incident that happened at this mansion that they never talk about. But it's a game that has combat, but it's not about shooting or killing or hurting, right? I guess maybe hurting, depending on how you look at it, right? So you have the Poltergeist 3000, which is a wonderful invention from Professor Egad that lets you suck up the ghosts, Ghostbuster style, which I appreciated when I was a kid, and I appreciate more as time goes on. But you suck up these ghosts, and the game is segmented in chapters, and so every chapter there's a boss at the end, and your goal is to collect all of the ghosts in the area, bring them back to Professor Egad, who puts them back in the paintings, or puts them in paintings rather. And it's just like a really interesting dynamic. It's a Nintendo game where you don't jump, right? There's no jump button. It's just about collecting ghosts, getting keys to access different areas of the mansion that you couldn't, going back and opening doors that you thought were locked permanently or that you couldn't get into. And it just sort of encapsulates itself as this incredible game. And I drew the Resident Evil comparison earlier, but I want to draw it again because you think about Resident Evil 1 and you think about how much of that game is spent in the Spencer Mansion, and Luigi's Mansion it's the same thing, right? Like, you spend all of your time in this mansion. Sure, you go to the courtyard or you go to the basement, you go to like other areas, but the mansion itself is the main character. And I don't like to call levels in video games characters, but like, it really does have this aesthetic and this vibe, and it's both like haunting but charming at the same time. And I don't really know how they pull it off. And I think when you move on to Luigi's Mansion Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, the sequel or whatever, it loses a little something with the multiple mansion stuff. So I think that's why Luigi's Mansion 1 is my favorite, because even in Luigi's Mansion 3 with the hotel, it's fun, but it's missing that central piece. And I think the mansion in the first one is really what that is. And I just, from the moment that game starts to the moment it ends, there's collectibles, there's interesting backstory, there's all sorts of Mario enemies that have kind of been reimagined, like the Shy Guys on the ballroom when they're dancing around. It's every time you open a door in that mansion, you don't know what's on the other side, and oftentimes it's not something you want to deal with, because it's usually a ghost and there's some sort of small puzzle element to solve the fight. But it's so much fun just discovering all the little nooks and crannies of that mansion. And something that I really, really love is there's a currency system in the game, and you get that from going in to a room and just sucking up tablecloths and ceiling fans and money shooting out everywhere. You're collecting all this money, but you don't buy anything throughout the game. So you're kind of wondering why you're collecting pearls and diamonds and all these things that you have to find throughout the game. But then at the end of the game, it ranks you based on how much money you've collected, and that's the new mansion that Luigi gets to live in. And I think that's just like a fun way to do it. Like, you're not buying upgrades, you're not buying skills or points or skins or whatever. You're simply just collecting it because it's fun as an activity to try and solve these little puzzles and try to figure out how much money is in a room, and it's just enjoyable. At the end of the day, Luigi's Mansion is just an enjoyable video game that is not super long. I beat it last year in about 8 hours. It's so great. And there's the collectibles with the boos, which are really awesome, which are just, you release a cage and all of a sudden there's 50 boos in the mansion, so it gives you a reason to go back to the other rooms and explore and try to find them and get them out of the furniture and suck them up. And there's just something really special about Luigi's Mansion that I don't think the other two games have been able to quite grasp. I think the charm is still there. I think it's just missing an edge. And I think Luigi's Mansion is kind of grungy, and it's better for it, I believe. And there's so much. I'm forgetting. There's the puzzle in the backyard that I adore, where you go and you water it, and then you come back after you've completed another section and you water it again. And then if you come back a third time and water it a third time, it gives you a diamond, which is the highest rarity, like, currency you can get. But if you miss out on watering it one of those times, you don't get the gem. And like I said, the gem just adds to your overall score. It doesn't do anything, but it's such an interesting and fun little puzzle. And it's something you might not pick up on the first time you play through the game, because nobody tells you to go do that. It's just like a natural instinct. And so now in every run, I make sure to go do the diamond just because I like getting the diamond. It's stupid, but it's fun. Like, and that's what this is. It's stupid fun, right? And that's why I think I love Luigi's Mansion so much. And I could go on forever and ever and ever, but I definitely do not want to go over time. So thank you very much for listening and letting me ramble about Luigi's Mansion. If you haven't played it, I highly recommend it. If you have children, it's a great game for them. If you have access to a GameCube or anything, and if you have played Luigi's Mansion, you know what I'm talking about. It's such a great game. I love it so much. Thank you so much, and happy gaming.